The next morning I woke up to find David already gone, a hastily scrawled note on his pillow saying he had an early client meeting and would be working late again. 3 days. I had 3 days to decide whether to blow up my entire life for a man I barely knew. But as I sat in my empty kitchen, drinking coffee alone while my husband pursued his endless ambitions, I realized I'd been living with a stranger for years anyway. The first day passed in a blur of routine activities that felt surreal given the decision looming over me. I went to the grocery store, picked up David's dry cleaning, met my book club for lunch. Normal activities that felt anything but normal when I knew they might be among the last I'd ever do as Mrs. David Hartwell. At the book club meeting, Patricia Hendricks mentioned seeing me at Richard's dinner party before the storm hit. You left. Quite an impression on him, she said with a knowing smile. He asked about you 3 times during our conversation. Wanted to know all about your background, your interests. I think someone has an admirer. The other women laughed and teased me about catching the eye of the firm's most eligible bachelor, but their words sent ice through my veins. If Patricia had noticed Richard's interest, who else had seen it? How long before rumors started spreading through the firm's social circle? That afternoon, my phone rang. Richard's name appeared on the screen, and my heart stopped. Hello? I couldn't wait 3 days. I had to hear your voice. Richard, we agreed, I know what we agreed. But I've been going crazy thinking about Tuesday night. About that kiss. About the way you looked when I showed you those tickets. I glanced around my living room, with its carefully coordinated furniture and family photos, everything chosen to project success and stability. It all felt like props in someone else's life. I'm still thinking, I said quietly. Good. Think about this, I've been offered a position with a firm in San Francisco. Senior partner, my own clients, complete autonomy. I turned it down because I couldn't bear the thought of being 3,000 miles away from you. My breath caught. Richard, but if you come with me, Elena, if you choose this crazy adventure we're planning, I'll call them back. We could start over completely. New city, new life, no one who knows us or judges us. San Francisco. The idea hit me like lightning. Not just a European vacation, but a complete reinvention. A chance to become someone entirely new. I need to go, I whispered, hearing David's car in the driveway. 2 more days, Richard said. I'll be waiting. David walked in just as I hung up, his arms full of legal briefs and his expression distracted as always. Who was that? He asked absently. Wrong number. He nodded without really listening, already mentally reviewing whatever case was consuming his attention. For a moment I studied his face, trying to remember when I'd fallen in love with him, when he'd stopped seeing me as anything more than a reliable part of his perfectly ordered life. How was your day? I asked. Busy. The Morrison case is heating up. I might need to work this weekend. Of course you do. Something in my tone must have caught his attention because he actually looked at me directly for the first time in weeks. Is everything okay? You seem different lately. Different. If only he knew how different. If only he knew that his wife was planning to run away with his boss in 48 hours. I'm fine. Just tired. You should get more sleep. Maybe take up yoga or something. Patricia Hendricks swears by it. And just like that, he was back to not really seeing me. I was a problem to be solved with yoga classes and earlier bedtimes, not a person with complex emotions and unfulfilled dreams. The second day brought unexpected complications. Sarah called in the afternoon, her voice bright with excitement. Mom, great news. I got that internship with the Art Museum in Manhattan. The one I applied for months ago. They want me to start Monday. That's wonderful, honey. And it was. Sarah had been pursuing art history with the same passion I'd once felt for photography. The thing is, I need to find an apartment fast. Like, immediately. And I was hoping maybe I could stay with you and Dad for a few weeks while I look. Just until I find something I can afford on an intern salary. My heart sank. Sarah coming home meant no Europe trip, no escape to San Francisco, no chance at the life Richard was offering. She'd be here, needing support and guidance, and I couldn't abandon my daughter at such a crucial moment in her life. Of course you can stay here, I heard myself saying. Your room is always ready. You're the best, Mom. I should be there Friday afternoon. Is that okay? Friday. The day I was supposed to give Richard my answer. The day that would determine the rest of my life. Friday is perfect, I lied. After I hung up, I sat staring at my phone for a long time. The universe seemed determined to keep me trapped in this life, throwing obstacles in my path every time I tried to break free. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe I was meant to stay here, to be the dutiful wife and supportive mother. But as evening fell, and David worked late again without even calling to let me know, I felt the familiar weight of resignation settling over me like a shroud. Was this really what the rest of my life would look like? Waiting for a husband who barely noticed me. Supporting a daughter who only called when she needed something? That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling, torn between duty and desire. By morning I still hadn't decided what to do. Wednesday brought the most unexpected twist of all. I was in my bedroom, finally working up the courage to call Richard and explain about Sarah's internship, when I heard my daughter's voice downstairs. "Mom? I'm here." She was 2 days early. I rushed downstairs to find Sarah in the kitchen, surrounded by suitcases and looking radiant with excitement about her new adventure. Surprise! I managed to get an earlier bus. The museum said I could start orientation tomorrow if I wanted to get a head start. We spent the afternoon catching up, and for the first time in days I felt like myself again. Sarah had inherited my love of art and travel, and hearing her talk about her dreams reminded me of what it felt like to be young and full of possibilities. "I brought you something," she said, digging through one of her bags. "I found it when I was cleaning out my dorm room." She handed me a small notebook, its pages yellowed with age. I recognized it immediately, my old journal from college, filled with travel plans and artistic aspirations. "I thought you might want it back. Some of the stuff you wrote about visiting Prague and Paris sounds amazing. You should totally do those trips someday." I flipped through the pages, reading my younger self's passionate plans for the future. Travel to Europe, study photography, maybe even live abroad for a while. All the dreams I'd set aside when I married David. "Maybe I will," I said quietly. That evening, while Sarah was unpacking in her old room, David actually came home at a reasonable hour. The three of us had dinner together for the first time in months, and for a brief moment we felt like a real family again, but as the evening wore on, I noticed something that broke my heart. Sarah was full of enthusiasm about her internship, her career plans, her hopes for the future. David listened politely but kept checking his phone, clearly more interested in work emails than his daughter's dreams. When Sarah excused herself to take a shower, David immediately returned to his laptop. "She's really excited about this internship," I said. Good for her. Art history isn't exactly practical, but she'll figure that out eventually." The casual dismissal of our daughter's passion was the final straw. This was how he'd treated my dreams too, politely acknowledged them before explaining why they weren't realistic or important. I went to bed that night knowing what my decision would be. Thursday morning brought a call from Richard while Sarah was at the museum for orientation and David was already at the office. "Tomorrow," he said without preamble. "Our flight leaves at 6 p.m. Are you going to be on it?" "Richard, something's happened. Sarah's here, she needs Elena." His voice was gentle but firm. "You've been putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own for 23 years. When does it become your turn? She's my daughter. She's 21 years old with her own life and dreams. You taught her to be independent. Now let her be independent." I wanted to argue, but deep down I knew he was right. Sarah didn't really need me here. She needed my support and encouragement, which I could give her from anywhere in the world. "I'm scared," I admitted. "Good. That means you're about to do something important." After we hung up, I made my decision. I would go. I would choose myself. For once. I would be brave. I spent the day making quiet preparations. I transferred money to Sarah's account with a note that it was for apartment hunting. I wrote a letter to David explaining my decision, sealed it in an envelope, and left it on his desk where he'd find it eventually. Sarah came home that afternoon glowing with excitement about her first day at the museum. "Mom, it was incredible. They have pieces I've only seen in textbooks, and the curator said I show real promise. This could actually lead to something amazing. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I feel like my whole life is just beginning, you know? Like anything could happen." I looked at my daughter, so full of hope and possibility, and felt a surge of fierce love. She was going to be fine. Better than fine. She was going to soar. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you. I'm going away for a while." "Oh, another book club trip?" "Something like that. I'll be traveling in Europe, maybe longer than originally planned." "That sounds amazing. You've always wanted to see Paris. How long will you be gone?" "I'm not sure yet. It depends on how things go." She nodded, already distracted by texts from her new museum colleagues. At 21, the idea that her mother might not come back wasn't even on her radar. In her world, parents were permanent fixtures who would always be there when needed. That evening I packed a single suitcase, taking only essentials and a few treasured items. I left most of my possessions behind, including my wedding ring, which I placed on David's pillow with a note that simply said, "I'm sorry." Friday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my nervous mood. Sarah had already left for her second day at the museum, and David was buried in the Morrison case as usual. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Then at noon, Sarah called. "Mom, something weird happened." I was looking for a pen in Dad's office and I found this strange note. My blood turned to ice. What kind of note? It's addressed to you, but it's not signed. Should I read it to you? Before I could stop her, she was reading, Elena, Tuesday night was magical. I can't stop thinking about our time together by the fireplace. The airline tickets are waiting. All you have to do is say yes to the adventure of a lifetime. Forever. Yours, R. The silence on the phone stretched for an eternity. Mom? Sarah's voice was small and confused. What does this mean? I closed my eyes, feeling my carefully laid plans crumbling around me. Richard must have slipped the note into David's briefcase during their meeting yesterday, assuming David would give it to me. Instead, my daughter had found it. Sarah, I can explain, are you having an affair? The direct question hung in the air like an accusation. My 21-year-old daughter was asking if her mother was cheating on her father, and the honest answer was yes. It's complicated, honey. It's not complicated, Mom. It's either yes or no. I took a deep breath. Yes. With Dad's boss? With Richard Manning? How did you know? The signature, and you mentioned being at his house during the storm. Mom, what are you doing? You're going to destroy our family. Our family has been broken for years, Sarah. You just haven't been here to see it. So you're going to run away with some man instead of trying to fix things? The accusation stung because it contained just enough truth to hurt. From the outside, it did look like I was abandoning my responsibilities for a midlife crisis affair. Sarah, you don't understand what my marriage has become. Your father and I have been strangers for years. Then get counseling. Go to therapy. Don't blow up everything we've built. What have we built? A house where nobody really talks to each other? A marriage where I've become invisible? A life where I've forgotten who I am? We've built a family, Mom. We've built stability and security and a life that thousands of people would envy. And I've been suffocating in it for 23 years. The words came out harsher than I intended, but they were true. I heard Sarah's sharp intake of breath and immediately regretted my honesty. So we're not enough for you, she said quietly. Dad and I aren't enough to make you happy. That's not what I meant, it's exactly what you meant. You're choosing some man you barely know over your own family. Sarah, please try to understand, I understand perfectly. You're having a midlife crisis and you're willing to destroy everything for it. Well, congratulations, Mom. You've officially become a cliché. The line went dead. My daughter had hung up on me. I sat staring at my phone, feeling the weight of her judgment crushing down on me. Was she right? Was I just a middle-aged woman? Making foolish choices because I was afraid of getting older, but then I remembered Tuesday night. The way Richard had looked at me, really seen me. The travel photos in his study. The airline tickets to places I'd dreamed of visiting my entire life. The possibility of becoming someone new, someone who chose adventure over safety. My phone rang. Richard's name appeared on the screen. Sarah found your note, I said without preamble. What note? The one you put in David's briefcase. She read it to me. There was a long pause. Elena, I never put any note in David's briefcase. I haven't seen him since Tuesday night. Confusion washed over me. Then who? I don't know, but it wasn't me. Someone else is playing games here. But the note mentioned airline tickets, mentioned Tuesday night, someone's been watching us. Someone knows about our plans. A chill ran down my spine. Who else knew about our evening together? Who would have access to David's office? And why would they want to sabotage my marriage? Richard, I need to think. This changes everything. No, it doesn't. Don't let whoever did this manipulate you into staying in a life that makes you miserable. My daughter thinks I'm destroying our family. Your daughter is 21 years old. She doesn't understand what it means to be trapped in a loveless marriage. She doesn't know what it's like to watch your dreams die one compromise at a time. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am just having a midlife crisis. Elena, listen to me. Love isn't a crisis. Choosing happiness isn't selfish. You have one life to live. Don't waste it trying to make other people comfortable with your choices. After I hung up, I sat in my living room surrounded by 23 years of married life. Family photos smiled down at me from every surface. Sarah as a baby, a toddler, a teenager. David and me on our wedding day, both of us so young and hopeful. Christmas mornings, birthday parties, graduations. The physical evidence of a life well lived, but I couldn't shake Richard's words. One life to live. When had I stopped living it for myself? At 4 p.m., with 2 hours until the flight to Paris, I made my final decision that I called a taxi to take me to the airport. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter along with a letter for David and Sarah explaining my choice. I didn't apologize for leaving, but I tried to help them understand why staying was no longer possible. The mysterious note still bothered me, but I couldn't let someone else's games determine my future. Whether it was a concerned friend trying to expose the affair or David himself testing my loyalty, it didn't matter anymore. The truth was out, and now I was free to choose. As the taxi pulled away from my house, I felt a mix of terror and exhilaration unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I was 47 years old, and I was about to board a plane to Paris with a man who saw me as more than just someone's wife and mother. At the airport, Richard was waiting with our boarding passes and a smile that lit up his entire face. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said. "Neither was I. Any regrets?" I thought about Sarah's angry words, about David's certain fury when he found my letter, about the life I was leaving behind. Then I looked at the departure board showing flights to destinations I'd only dreamed of visiting. "Ask me again in Paris," I said, and let him lead me toward the gate where our new life was waiting.
Bye bye.